We're going to work on flying pigeon in this sequence, and we're going to work on the transition between the little compact rounded version of that pose and the full extended version with the leg out behind you. So it's not easy. This is a really tough transition, but we'll work on all the pieces that you'll need. And then hopefully one day it'll happen. So Janice, Liz, here we go. Breathe in and out through your nose. Long, steady breaths, and you always just start there as a place to connect with your body, your breath, what's happening today versus any other day. And then also just to put your attention on that so that during the practice when things get challenging or when you get stuck, your breath can be forgotten. You can kind of check out or get frustrated, but if you come back to the breathing and back into the moment, it's a little bit easier. So once that's happened, then you're going to bend your knees and put your feet on the floor. Have your feet hip distance apart. Cross your right ankle over your left knee. Now look at your right foot. Flex your ankle a lot so the toes are pulling straight back towards your kneecap. Right now, sides of your waist, they should feel even. It shouldn't feel like one hip is hiked up any more than the other. Leave them like that. See if you can engage your outer right hip muscles to push the knee a little wider without using your hand. And then when you can't do that anymore, then wrap your arms around the back of your left thigh and pull it into your chest. Right now, start with just pulling it in enough that the back of your hips stay grounded, the collarbones stay wide, and then keep flexing your right ankle, drawing the knee wide. Eventually, your shin will become parallel with your collarbones. It might not happen today, that's okay, and you're going to notice that. If it doesn't happen right now and thread the needle, it's going to make the arm balance a little bit more challenging, if at all approachable, but you can use the components to work slowly towards it, don't worry. All right, now, hollow your lower belly out, and then curl your upper back up off of the mat and bring your forehead towards your, let's say, left knee or the center of your legs. Right, so just lower back belly working, hips still pretty flat on the mat, chest lifting up, keep your throat wide and your collarbones wide. Good. Right, and then lower that back down just so your head and your shoulders hit the mat again. Keep your lower back belly working just a little bit. Now straighten your left leg somewhat up towards the ceiling. Have your arms around the back of the thigh. And then you don't have to go all the way straight, but have your left toes facing directly back. And then keep the right knee pressing wide by engaging the outer hip, the ankle flexed. Good. Now you're going to loop your arms underneath your right shin. And then once you have that, keep your left leg reaching up to the ceiling. Now, collarbones wide, a little bit of lower belly, right hip still doing the same thing. Now just pay attention to the effort in the back of your left leg as you start to take it down towards the mat. Now, don't go all the way, but just feel it reaching away from you, the hamstring working to draw the leg down. And then keep spreading through your toes, and your breath steady and even. So right now, you're in the arm balance, upside down. It's my favorite. Look at flying pigeon. Right now, hug your knees in again. Let it go, and then put your feet on the floor, and we'll do the other side. So left ankle, right knee, flex your ankle. Once you have that, sides of your waist should feel even, and then you don't get to use your hands. You have to use your left glute muscles to see if you can draw the knee wider without letting your hips torque from side to side. And then hold that and hug your right thigh into your chest. Wrap your hands around the back of the thigh. Keep your hips flat on the floor, your collarbones wide, and your shoulders heavy. And then just start to draw the lower belly in. So there's a tiny bit of rounding in the lower back. And then lift your chest up off of the floor and bring your forehead towards your thigh. And then flex your right ankle and try to draw that heel down as well. Get a little compact. Good. And then lower your head and shoulders back down. And then straighten your right leg up to the ceiling somewhat. It doesn't have to go all the way straight. It's a hamstring opener, so it can be bent just as long as your toes are facing straight back. Good. And then collarbones stay wide. And now work your arms underneath your left shin or the ankle. You can even just hold the foot as long as you're not sickling it. Right leg still straight up to the ceiling. Start to draw the low belly in. Collarbones stay wide, and feel the effort in the back of your right thigh to begin to draw the leg down towards the floor. It shouldn't feel like anything in your lower back or your left knee. So if it does, come out of it. Good. Keep spinning the inner right thigh down towards the floor so the big toe faces up. Good. And there you go, second side. And then hug this in. And this time, you're going to rock all the way up and over and into downward facing dog. So once you're in down dog, you just get into your first half inversion. Pedal your feet out. Come up high onto your toes. You can drop your chest through, but just a little bit of fidgeting around and exploring how your body feels. And then spread your fingers wide. Press your hands down strongly. Upper back through towards your inner thighs. Tailbone reaching straight away from the heels of your hands. And then legs straight. So thighs pushing back, heels drawing down. Now inhale, shift yourself forward to plank pose. Bring your shoulders over your wrists. And once you're there, belly in like you did on your back a second ago. Legs very, very straight. Neck long by wrapping the outer upper arms back and hugging them together. Good. And then just shift a little further forward. Pull your shoulders about 3 inches beyond your wrists. Now, once you're here, I want you to imagine the front edge of your mat is a cliff, and you need to see what's all the way down on the bottom edge. So as you exhale, peer over the front of your mat and bend your elbows halfway into chaturanga. Good. Keep shifting a little forward, hands heavy, heels drawing back, and then belly in. And then inhale, push yourself up into plank pose. Exhale, press yourself back into downward facing dog. Right. And then inhale, glide forward into plank. Shift further forward, think I will peer over the front. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, press up into plank. Exhale, pull back into down dog. And just one more time, that same thing. So you can always drop your knees if it's hard to maintain the shoulder alignment in this. It's perfectly fine. Good. Right, now inhale, glide forward into plank pose, shoulders over your wrists. And exhale, pull your right knee in towards your chest. Keep your shoulders directly over your wrists. Now draw your lower belly in so much that your tailbone starts to curl under towards your chin and push your back leg completely straight. Right, now round your upper back to the ceiling. Try to dome that part of the back up to get the knee a little closer to your forehead. And then flex at your hip crease. Now flex your right ankle. Pay attention to the back of your right hamstring and pull the heel in towards your sit bone. Good. Now hold your right leg exactly like it is. Start to re-widen your collarbones and look forward. Press your upper back through your arms, just like you would do in a regular plank pose. And now pay attention to the back of your right leg. Start to reach your right leg back so it's in plank but with the leg lifted up a little bit. And then be in plank just like this and explore the back of your right leg again. Take your right leg a little bit higher from the inner thigh just to feel the hamstring and the glute work. And then set your right leg down and press back into downward facing dog. All right. Second side. Inhale, glide forward into plank, shoulders over your wrists. And then as you exhale, pull your left knee in towards your chest and round your back. So keep your back leg really straight. And when you do that, then your hips won't drop too low. Draw the low belly in, round and dome the upper back towards the ceiling. And then pull your right thigh in, flex your pull your left thigh in, flex your left ankle, and try to draw the heel as close to your sit bone as you can. Flex your left ankle, Liz. There you go. Good. Now hold your leg like this. Re-widen your collarbones. Pull your sternum through your arms. Look forward. Extend your left leg back so it's in plank with the leg up. Low belly has to work a little more. And now use the inner thigh, the inner hamstring to draw the leg a little higher than your hip. Good. And then set your left leg down and press back into downward facing dog. Walk your hands all the way back until they meet your feet. You can bend your knees or keep them straight, but grab your elbows and hang forward. Make sure your heels and knees are stacked right behind your second, third toe. And then long, steady breaths. And then hands to the mat. Inhale, flat back, look forward. Exhale, hands to your hips. Give yourself a little pull into the low belly and inhale yourself to standing. Okay, come to the front. We'll do some sun salutations to warm up. Right, feet together. I'm laughing at myself today. It's how funny I think I am. Right. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, fold from your hips. Inhale, pull your chest forward and look up. Exhale, step back into plank. Keep your shoulders beyond your wrists as you step back. Take another inhale and then exhale halfway down into chaturanga. Flip your toes. Inhale into upward facing dog, pulling your sternum through. And then exhale, press yourself back into downward facing dog. We move a little more quickly today than usual, so look forward, step or hop. Inhale into Ardha. Exhale to fold forward again. Inhale, come up to standing, arms up. And exhale, hands to your heart. 2 more times. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, Uttanasana, fold. Inhale, sternum forward, chest wide, and then exhale, step or jump back into chaturanga. Inhale into upward dog. Keep your knees up off of the floor. And then exhale, press back into downward facing dog. Less breaths today. Look forward, step or hop. Inhale, Ardha. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, Uttanasana, fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, look forward. Exhale, take a vinyasa back into downward facing dog. Step or hop, your choice. Okay, now from here, inhale, glide forward into plank pose, shoulders over your wrists. Right, now that same thing, pick your right foot up and bring your right knee to your right tricep this time. Get the inner knee and your outer arm to glue together, elbows very straight. Right, and then start to bring your right foot across just a little bit towards your left wrist. Right, and then flex that ankle. Try to draw the heel across towards the wrist. Right, now round your back, pull the knee a little higher. Good. And then pull your knee to your nose. Look forward between your hands. Step your right foot through. Lower your back knee down. Move your right foot off to the right a few inches. Bring both hands to the inside of your foot. Now turn your right toes out towards the right corner of your mat. Flex your ankle so your heel is on the floor, and then let your right knee fall open to the right. You can stay here or come down onto your elbows. And then once you're on your elbows, you can also recurl your back toes and lift your back leg if you'd like. Right? If that's too much, just stay with the back leg down. Your left hip wants to kind of drop down towards the floor. Let it lift up and be square, and then chest through your arms, whether you're on your elbows or on your hands. Good. Okay, and then hug your right knee back in. Come back up onto your hands, curl your back toes under, lift your back knee up off of the mat, and then spin your back heel flat. Bring your right hand to the inside of your right foot, lining up heel to arch, and you can put your hand on a block if you need to maintain some length in your side body, and then turn your chest open and reach your left arm straight up. Good. Okay, once you're there, back leg straight, anchor it, pin the pinky toe edge to the floor, feel the inner left thigh pull towards the ceiling somewhat. And then right at your right hip crease, pull that right hip crease back towards your left heel, folding a little further there, but then bend into your right knee. Take it towards 90 degrees. Right, now hip, knee, second toe in one line, but nudge your knee and shoulder together so you have a little bit of work of your inner right thigh. And then belly in, twist from your upper back without arching your lower spine. There you go. And then you're just going to stay here today, reaching your arms wide, wide apart. Good. And keep drawing the right side body longer by pressing your left side ribs down. And now look down at your right foot and inhale, bring yourself up into warrior two. Bring your shoulders over your wrists. Shoulders over your, what am I talking about? Shoulders over your hips. Just put them over your wrists in warrior two. Back leg straight. Press into your right heel. Now make some space between your right hip point and your right thigh bone and descend into the bend 90 degrees in your front knee. And now turn your ribs away from your inner right thigh and reach your arms apart. Good. Gaze steadily over your right fingers. Draw the lower belly in. Just a little more low belly, Liz. That's it. Take one more breath. And then exhale your hands down to the mat and take yourself through a vinyasa to down dog. So you can always skip vinyasas, especially if approaching this arm balance, your arms get tired. You want to make sure that you have enough juice to get there at the end, so you can skip them whenever. And then inhale, shift forward into plank. Shoulders over your wrists, and as you exhale, left knee, left tricep. Pull it in, glue those 2 points together. Okay? And then hold that. Start to bring your left foot across towards your right wrist, keeping the knee and the arm together. Then flex your left ankle and bring your heel towards the right wrist. Collarbones square and wide, outer arms hugging in. Good, and then knee to nose, pull it in, and step your foot through. Okay, spin your back heel flat, heel to arch, hand to the inside, and turn, lower your back knee down. They're better than I am. They're remembering. Lower your back knee down, move the foot to the left, flex your left ankle on the heel, let the knee fall open. And then either forearms, back knee up. Liz did that on the other side, so we'll mimic it here. And then you're pulling your chest through so that you're not rounding your upper back a tremendous amount here. Spread through your back toes if the toes are curled the other way. Press your back leg straight if your knee is up off of the mat. Okay, now we'll go into side angle. Come up onto your hands. Okay, spin your back foot down to the mat, line up heel to arch, hand to the inside on a block if you used it on the other side, and then turn open into side angle. Okay, so just a modification of the full pose. So first, anchor the back leg, knee straight, and then a little pulling of the inner right thigh towards the ceiling or the back edge of your mat, whatever gives you that sensation of lift. And then weight in your left heel, hip under, knee open, bend as you pull your left hip crease to your right heel. And then belly in, turn your chest open, nudge the knee and arm together, and then just reach your arms really widely apart. Contract here a little more, but get this one. Yeah. Much better. Good. Right, keep using the right side raise. Send the left side body a little longer. And then look down and inhale up into warrior two and hold there. And once you come up, if you need to re-lengthen your stance, lengthen it out so you can start to bend towards 90. Anchor the back leg again. Anchor the front heel. Hip, knee, second toe, set them dead ahead. Descend into the bend of your front knee. But pick your left hip point up, send your right hip point down until you're level. Belly in, turn your right ribs away from your inner left thigh, steady gaze over your left hand, and drop into it. A couple more breaths. Make sure your back leg has stayed firm. You're going to need that later. Good. And then on your next exhale, hands to the mat, vinyasa, down dog. And walk your hands back until they meet your feet. And grab your elbows and hang forward for a moment. All right, so from here, release your hands down to the mat. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale your hands to your hips and come on up on an inhale to standing. Okay, bring your feet all the way together. Leave your hands on your hips. With a straight knee, pick your right leg up and reach your heel to the front of your mat. Now once it's up, without letting your left leg torque, turn your right toes out to the side as much as you can. And then bend your right knee and cross your right ankle over your left knee. And then press the knee and the ankle together. Hold your hips square and see if you can use your outer right hip muscle, your glute, to take the knee a little wider. And now reach your arms up alongside your ears like tree pose. Roll your outer arms forward. Draw your lower belly in. Lift your chest and reach your arms really, really high. Now if you can start to look up, you can go for it and look up. Pull your upper back into your chest, chest through your arms, and maybe bring your hands together if your elbows will stay straight as arrows. Good. Right, and then look forward, hands to your hips. Lower your right leg down. Bring your feet together, and we'll just do the left side. Right at the back of the mat, pick your left leg up, straight knee, reach the heel forward. Turn your left toes out without letting your right leg change shape. Cross left ankle, right knee. Good. And then once you're there, you have to push the ankle and the thigh together. Right leg stays straight, left glute muscle works, draw the knee any amount wider, and then a little zip up of the low belly. Now reach your arms up like tree pose. Wrap your outer arms strongly to the front of the mat, reach them up. Lift your chest without arching your lower back anymore. Look up, bring your hands closer, and they can touch together perhaps. Good. Right, and then hands to your hips. Lower your left leg hip distance away from your right. Inhale, lift and widen your chest. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look forward, chest wide. Then exhale, walk out into downward facing dog. And then look forward at your hands. Step or hop your feet up to meet them. Inhale, chest wide. Exhale, fold forward. Bend your knees, sink your hips, reach your arms up into chair pose. So shift back into your heels. Inner knees touching like they have magnets on them. Hip points up so that your tailbone reaches just a couple inches behind your heels. And then arch your upper back, start to look up, lift your chest, maybe bring your palms towards one another and touch them. Now sit a little bit further down and back. Good. Exhale, fold forward, straighten your legs. Inhale, pull your chest wide through your arms. And then exhale, take a vinyasa to down dog. Right, now inhale, come forward into plank pose, shoulders over your wrists. And once you're there, pick your right foot up again, bring your right knee, right tricep, hug those two together, flex your right ankle strongly, bring it across towards your left wrist, hold, And then bring yourself into single pigeon. Set the foot down, the knee down. If your right hip is up off of the mat, take the block that you have and place it underneath your right hip. You can put a blanket underneath you as well. Then for a few breaths, you're going to fold forward. You can just round forward and put your forehead on your hands or your forehead on the block if you'd like. And then in a moment, we'll do it the way that I want it done. Good. Okay, now, from here, you're going to come up onto your forearms like you were in Sphinx pose. Put your elbows under your shoulders, wrists in line with that, and then spin your inner left thigh to the ceiling somewhat. Draw the right hip crease to your left heel. Think up dog, chaturanga, either one with your upper body. And then if you have no knee issues and both of your hips are on the floor, spread your back toes, press your back toes into the mat and see if you can straighten the knee, and maybe it'll lift a drop off of the mat. Not that one, Liz. Keep your toe pointed. Yeah, voila. All right, now the tricky part. Curl your back toes under, come back up onto your hands. And then once you're there, you're going to stretch yourself up and back to three-legged dog. Open your right hip, bend your right knee, and open, bend, stretch. All right. And then stretch your right leg all the way back, spread your toes, and set that leg all the way down. Okay, we're going to do the second side. So inhale, come forward into plank pose, shoulders over your wrists. And then pick your left leg up, pull your left knee, left tricep, let it land, flex the ankle strongly, bring the foot across towards your right wrist, hold, and then set yourself up into single pigeon again. So first few breaths, again, just fold forward. Make sure that your hip, the left one, is on something, so either the mat or it's got to go up on a block or a blanket to protect your knee. And then you're flexing your left ankle strongly, spreading through your back toes, and folding. All right, so a few breaths just to kind of be here. Opening your hip, you're going to need it in a second, but then you're going to need a little bit of work in your upper body. So come up into Sphinx pose with your upper body, elbows, wrists, shoulders in one parallel line, chest, pull it through, just a little effort of up dog, more like chaturanga would be. And then as long as your left hip is on the floor as well as the top of your right thigh, you're going to press through your right toes, spread them, and see if that pressing down, I'm stuttering, will lift your knee up off of the mat a little bit. That's good, you two. A couple of breaths. And then bring yourself back up. Hands on the mat. Curl your back toes under. Lift yourself up and back. Three-legged dog. Open yourself up. Bend, stretch your knee. And then turn your hip open. You can circle and do whatever you want for a second. All right. And then set that leg all the way down. Get rid of your props if you use them. Right, and we're just going to do one more time, a little bit of the effort of how to come from one to the other. So inhale, shift yourself forward into plank, shoulders over your wrists. And then exhale, pull your right knee in towards your nose and round your back. Right, so now once you're here, flex your right ankle really strongly and pull your right heel up towards your sit bone so you feel the back of your leg engage. Good. Now look forward. Start to shift a little further forward, shoulders beyond your wrist, collarbones wide. Now press your upper back through towards the front of your mat, widening your collarbones. And now explore the back of the right leg. Use the back of the leg to stretch your right leg back, straightening it out so you're in plank with the leg up, and then use the inner thigh, the glute, to lift the leg a little higher. And then lower your right leg down, press up and back to downward facing dog. We'll do it one more time on the second side. We did it already, but it's all the efforts you really need. So come on forward to plank pose. Pick your left foot up. Pull the left knee in towards your chest. Round your back. Flex your left ankle. Draw the heel up tightly towards your sit bone. You're just feeling the back of the leg work. Right? And then start to look forward. Chest wide, shift a little forward, shoulders beyond your wrists, belly stays drawn in, use your left hamstring, stretch the left leg back, flex your left ankle, maybe lift the leg a little bit higher, and then set the leg down and press back into downward facing dog. Right, and then drop down into child's pose for a minute and take a slight rest, and then we're going to work on the arm balance. Right, so flying pigeon, you start with this rounded back crow pose-ish looking thing with a big flying pigeon front leg or single pigeon front leg. And then there's a transition to go from that rounded shape into this big open shape. And it's the same exact thing you just did when you brought your knee from your nose back into plank with the leg reaching back. So it'll feel very, very similar. And then you have to do that little shift forward too. So here we go. Monologue complete, down dog. And you're going to come into it the same way you came into that standing tree pose combined with chair. So look forward, hop or step your feet all the way up. Inhale, chest wide and open. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, come up to standing, arms overhead. And then exhale, join your hands together. All right, so hands on your hips to start with. You're going to set this up the very same way you set up that tree pose at the back of your mat with the funny flying pigeon leg. So pick your right leg up, straight knee, from your right hip socket, straight knee, there you go. Turn your right toes out to the side without letting your left leg torque, and then cross right ankle, left knee. Good. Now you're going to keep your hips very square, shift into your left heel, and sit back like chair pose. Now once you do this, there's this tendency for the left hip to jut out, so keep it hugged in. Use your outer right hip to draw the knee wider. Okay, now reach your arms up, get some length in the side body. Sit a little further and deeper, and then fold forward. So this might be it. You might kind of get here, hovering even, and that's it, no more. Fine, stay and breathe. Otherwise, hands can come down, and you can put your fingertips on the mat to start with. Have your hands shoulder distance apart. Okay, and then once you have that, plant your hands all the way flat. You're going to put your right knee in your right armpit, and then you're going to strongly flex your right ankle like you were doing at the beginning and hook it around your left tricep. Right now, you have to do that shift forward. So start to bend your elbows, shift a little forward, draw your belly in, and now think what you did in knee to nose with your left leg and use your left hamstring to bring the heel up towards your sit bone. Good. And then once you get that, now you're going to turn this into the big pose. So chest comes through, start to work the right hamstring, inner thigh a little more than the outer to start to extend the leg behind you. You have to think chest through the whole time and then squeeze the outer arms in. Good, and then you undo it, bring the knee back in, set the foot down, slowly first, stand all the way up, and then uncross your leg and bring your hands to your hips. Okay, so it's not an easy pose. There's a million steps along that way that we just went through that you can stop at any time. And then one side's always a little bit more preferable than the other, so we'll see how this one goes. Right, so left ankle, right knee. And it's not worth pushing into this. This is a big external in your hip, and it can injure your knee, so go very slowly. Keep your right hip squeezed in. Start to sit yourself back. Okay, little low belly as you shift and bend, and then arms up overhead. So again, you can stay here just working to draw the knee wide to keep the right hip hugged in. Otherwise, you're going to start to fold forward. As you fold forward, keep your spine long. If that's enough, stay. If you're going on, fingertips can come down. You can stay here as well. Otherwise, plant your palms shoulder distance apart like you would in plank. Hook the toes by flexing your ankle, knee in the armpit. Right? And then you're going to have to shift forward, try to peer over the front edge of your mat like you did in that very first chaturanga. Low belly comes in, and then use your right hamstring to draw the heel up. This is the first step, so this might be where you play for a while. And then if you're going on, use the inner right hamstring a little more to reach the leg back as you pull your chest forward and try to peer over the front edge of your mat a little bit more. Try to press your upper back through. These are gorgeous. And then pull the knee back in, set your foot down, slowly stand up, then uncross once you're all the way up. Otherwise, your leg kind of does this slingshot thing that's a little dangerous for your knee. Good. And then big pat on the back for trying, right? Stand, yes, exactly. Right, step up to the front if you're not at the front. You can take a sun salutation through to downward facing dog. So inhale, arms up, and exhale, fold. Inhale, chest wide, look up, and exhale through a vinyasa to down dog. Right, so we're going to just do a little hip flexor opener combo back bend deal to do the opposite of what we've been doing in your hips for this class. So look forward, hop through or step through and lie down on your back, and then grab your block. You set up into supported bridge. So bend your knees and put your feet on the floor. Feet hip distance, lift yourself up, and you take the block to the highest height or to the mid height. Highest height if you're going to kind of go on to the next thing. Janice, tilt it the other way. Yeah, sideways. There you go. All right. And then arms just alongside of you. You don't have to interlace your fingers or anything like that. So if this is already opening your right quad and the front of your right hip, then you can stay here. And if you have kind of lower back issues or anything like that, you're definitely going to stay here. But otherwise, you're just going to pick your right foot up a little bit, point your toes, and like a half virasana leg, grab your right ankle and pull the toes back towards your shoulder until you end up on the top of the foot. And the further you take the foot back towards the back of your mat, the deeper it's going to get into your hip flexor and your psoas, as well as your quad. Right? And then just the left side of your body stays exactly like it was in bridge. And again, this shouldn't feel like anything in your low back. And if it does, then you come out of it and just stay in supported bridge. If your right arch cramps, come out of it because you won't have a choice. Your right arch will make you come out of it. But usually that's just because you haven't drank enough water. Okay, now do the other side. Undo that. Grab your left ankle, point the toes, pull the foot back towards your shoulder, get the top of the foot on the floor like up dog. Inner knees, hug them together, just like it's all the same as bridge. You just have a little deeper stretch on one side. All right. And then undo that. Lift your hips up, get rid of your block. And then softly hug your knees into your chest for a second. Right, so that means not rounding too much first, just kind of flexing at the hip crease and pulling them in a little. And then as your back feels ready, go further and further and further and pull them all the way in. And then grab the edges of your feet and do happy baby. Okay, so ankles over your knees, lower back on the mat, and then steady, even long, smooth breaths. And then we did a lot of externals already. You've already done single pigeon, already did single pigeon on your back at the beginning. So we'll do a different hip opener to kind of neutralize and bring it a little bit more towards center. So place your feet on the floor like you just had them in bridge. And then cross your right thigh over your left. If it's hard to get your thighs together even here, you're just going to hug this in. But hug it in no matter what, so right thigh over left thigh. There you go. Okay. And then flex your ankles strongly like you did before. And if that's enough, stay. Okay. If you can keep your thighs together, you're going to reach down, grab the edges of your feet, keep your knees stacked, spin your feet out towards the sides of your mat, and then pull them towards your shoulders, keeping your shoulders on the floor. Right, so Gomukhasana, legs on your back. So Gomukhasana means cow face. And I always thought, this doesn't look anything like a cow face. I'm so confused. And then I found out cow face means things that look weird. It makes so much more sense now. So now you can know what that means. All right, and let's do the other side. So uncross that, other thigh over top. Hug your thighs in first. Decide if you can keep your knees stacked and your thighs touching. If you can't, stay. If you can, flex your ankles, grab them, spin them to the sides, and pull them down. Just make sure your feet look like feet you'd be able to stand on, that you wouldn't just be standing on your pinky toe or your big toe. You'll know if you're doing it if they're flexed. And then just hug your knees into your chest one last time. Give them a good regular old squeeze. And then stretch your legs out and set up into Shavasana. So it's never easy approaching an arm balance that you're new to. It's something that requires a good amount of perseverance and a little bit of humility and the ability to laugh at yourself, but it's worth it. It keeps you very present. You can't really think about anything else when you're doing it. And it doesn't matter if you accomplish it. It's just a tool to be present, to learn, to explore how your body is and how your mind reacts. So whatever happened, it was worth it. You did that thing. Over time, the pose will come. And then just let yourself relax. Hold still. Let your breath be natural, and it takes a little while. That won't happen right away, so you can just observe how long it takes, pay attention to it. And beyond that, full rest. It was a lot of upper body work, a lot of hip work, so do a little bit of resting and letting go. Shavasana.